he has the work ethic of an NFL player, and he has the knowledge of the game of probably a 2 or 3 year college vet, and that is.
And I was already excited. I want to ask one more question, because as if all of this story weren't enough, afterwards, you find yourself coaching the #1 high school recruit in the country, Bryce Underwood, who flips from LSU to Michigan in another, like the second most seismic story for Michigan football in the last couple of years.
You just can't make that up. You couldn't.
It's like somebody tried to make a sequel and find a story.
Like you can't.
They got
documentary part 2.
Yeah, like they tried to just, all right, we got to make a sequel to this. Like we got to think of a storyline. What's the next craziest thing?
It's like you can't.
That could happen.
And I know you don't have a ton of time, but what was it like coaching Bryce Underwood? What really makes him special, and what should the expectations be for him in year 1 or throughout his career for Michigan fans?
Yeah. So my first time meeting Bryce was the Sunday after Michigan State game this year, and that was their first Sunday going into playoffs. And so I get there, I was basically told, hey, team's been having some. And rightfully so. I mean, they're very talented. Obviously, we have the best player and Elijah Dotson and a bunch of other guys that are really good skill players. It's like, hey, go in there, help kind of revamp the offense. And there was another coach that came in and kind of helped revamp the defense for playoffs. And it's funny because it's obviously rare that a high school coach would go from one team to another during the playoffs. Because it's like, well, why would you want to coach from a losing team going on to, a playoff team? And, I'm grateful for my time at Mumford. That was an interesting experience. I mean, we're talking like, you had like 18 kids on the team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you
Good
can
luck.
imagine.
Yeah, good luck.
So anyway, I get to Belleville, and that Sunday, my first time meeting Bryce. So right away, it was funny. He told me, he's like, my girlfriend watched your documentary. We're excited that you're here. I said, all right, look, I just had to address the elephant in the room right away. I said, look, obviously, I'm a big Michigan guy. Obviously, I would love to see you play at Michigan. I am not here to recruit you. I'm not going to mention one word about Michigan. If you have questions, I'll answer them.
Yeah.
But I'm here to help you win football games, help you, expand your knowledge of the game and whatnot. And that's why I'm here. And, we had some conversations about like financial education and about actual football. And then, sometimes he brings up like, what's the atmosphere like in the building? What's Coach Moore like? Whatever. My first day with him sums up why he perfectly fits the culture of Michigan. So I saw him at noon. We did have like a 1 hour team meeting or whatever, but we were there from like noon to midnight, day 1, 12 hours of football. And, I've been around a lot of successful football players. Only one other player comes to mind who like, you just keep talking and you're like, did I keep going? He's like, keep going. And he's like, hey, we talk about that, keep going.
Truly love
it. And it just doesn't stop. Ernest Hausman.
Oh, wow.
He lives in that linebacker room at Michigan. Yep. He's the only one, because I would literally sleep in Schembechler Hall like 5 days of the week. And so I'd be there till I just got tired and couldn't. I'd be up doing work till 2 a.m. And Ernest wasn't there till 2 a.m. But he would be there super late. I mean, Ernest loves football. Bryce it's the same. And, we're talking like, the Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, going into our first playoff game, which we won like 68-0. And, we were a high seed, and, they hadn't blown them out like that, but, we incorporated some new formations. They only ran like 3 or 4 formations. So we installed a lot in 1 week, try to find that balance by not doing too much, right?
Yeah.
But, we changed a couple things up. We didn't want to like change the verbiage of much. So we just kind of added on to what they had. And, Bryce taught me the whole playbook in a couple hours. And during that, would ask him, hey, what about should we add these formations? Like, is this too much? And he's like, no, keep going. Like, what about everyone else? He's like, don't worry about everyone else. I got it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the type of guy he is. Like, So they only really were, I'd say 95% 10 personnel. Did not use a tight end. They had a good tight end body though, defensive end. And they pretty much were just like 2x2, 4 remove, 10 personnel, and 3x1. No
doubles and trips.
Oh yeah, like no formation of the boundary or nothing, no pre-snap motion, not a lot of stuff like that. So I mean, for all the pre-snap stuff, which, you know, formation, motion, and all that, I literally just used Michigan's terminology or a version of it.
Yeah.
And subliminal.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean I mean it's not rocket science. It's pretty simple, but you know, and I'll get into the Michigan if you want to talk Michigan defensive stuff. I mean, it's the greatest nomenclature, which enables them to be so versatile. We'll get into that in a sec. But so yeah, we installed the whole pre-snap stuff. So now we're zacking across to trips and, you know, messing with getting man zone ID and all that. And you know, he's just like, keep going.
I like to hear this.
I'm like,
I bet you.
I'm like okay, you know, I'm like, so you can handle this, and I get.
I don't know. That 12 million starting to sound worth it.
But what about the other, you know, the rest of your team? Yeah. Every time, don't worry about them. I got that. Don't worry about that. And you know, that's the type of guy he is. I would get phone calls from him every night at like 10 p.m. prepping for Ann Arbor Pioneer. I get a phone call, Bryce Underwood. You know, Hey Bryce, what's going on, man?
You good?
He's like, hey, I'm play 24 of the Pioneer versus Saline game. Do you think the boundary safety is actually? Wait, no, I got it. Boom, hangs up.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
I love it.
Come on,
God, I love it.
Like,
come on now.
Like I said, if I had 11 of you, we've all been there, endlessly scrolling through these fitness influencers, selling you complicated routines that promise the world, but in reality deliver very little. But the truth is, most of these tips and tricks just overcomplicate what should be simple. And that's where Fitbod comes in, where they combine the workout planning and tracking you need to actually stay consistent and make real progress. What makes Fitbod special is how it builds workouts around your specific situation. This app crafts routines based on your unique fitness journey and available equipment, and it even factors in your recovery time between sessions. Now, their smart technology also ensures each workout hits the sweet spot, challenging enough to drive results without pushing you to burnout. Plus, with over 1,000 demonstration videos, you'll never wonder if you're doing an exercise correctly or not. It's like having a trainer who really knows you, pushing you enough to make progress without burning out. So level up your workout. Join Fitbod today to get your personalized workout plan and get 25% off your subscription, or try the app free for 7 days at fitbod.me/booster. That's fitbod.me/booster.
You know, obviously everyone raves over his athletic ability.
Sure.
And when you just see him in person, obviously you guys have seen him in person, it's like, yeah, he's got the potential to be different, right? And then you see him throw the ball, like physically, oh my gosh, the first time at practice, the very first play that, you know, I knew exactly what he's supposed to do because it called the play and the script and practice and everything. It was 3x1. He's got like a yes, no to the X receiver and then go through his progression, right? And this X receiver is like locked down. And he just goes to throw it anyway. And I'm ready to like, kind of like chew him out, you know, like you just kind of set the tone. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, you got to go through your progression and everything. Like, don't just try to play hero ball the whole time. And he goes to throw this to a absolutely blanketed receiver. And it was the most perfect back shoulder fade I've ever seen in my life. And I looked at the other coaches and they were like,
yeah, wow, he's
I'm
good.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right, let's go play two.
Good coaching, man.
Yeah, good coaching, man.
So fast forward to that first game. I'm up in the box. You know, I just didn't want the attention of me being out on the field and all that, rightfully so. My first game in a box. I'm more of a field guy myself. And we're playing Ann Arbor Pioneer. They were too high, running just quarters, and we were in 3x1, 10 personnel.
Would they trap the boundary, or was it true quarters?
It was mostly true quarters, I think. It was irrelevant to this specific play. We we were running a pin and pull to the boundary with a bubble RPO to the field, putting that Mike in conflict. Does he apex out, and is he actually responsible for 3 or not? Or does he play the C gap? And he kept, I forget exactly what they were doing. I'm pretty sure we couldn't have gone wrong either way. Like he wasn't truly apexed out there, but also they were closing their front to the back, who was to the field. So we were creating 4x1 essentially. And we just kept running it, not literally over and over again, but a few times a possession until they adjust. And finally, we called that play, and they go to one high, they rotate the safety down. So now they got the extra fitter in the box, and they close the front away from the back so they can account for the bubble RPO, and they got the front closed for the pin and pull. And as I see it up in the booth, a great view in the booth, I'm like yelling over the headset to try to get the signalers to get Bryce's attention. Like, yo, have them flip the run or whatever. As I'm yelling it, I see him signal to Elijah, who was the ex-receiver, to the boundary. I just see him signal something. And, and this is I've only been there for a week, so I don't even know what he signaled, right? Like I'm pretty new.
That's ironic.
So
that is unbelievably ironic.
So I'm like, what is he doing? Whatever, he's doing something though. He sees something.
I trust it.
And sure enough, he tags himself. He tags a same side RPO, which is not very easy. And so running pin and pull to the boundary, he reads the overhang or the rotated safety to the boundary, and he pulls it, throws the slant, the little glance route, and then Elijah makes a play and scores a touchdown.
That other DC had to be like, man, damn, dog.
I got to run 20 of them out there.
That is when I knew. Again, I've been around a lot of successful people, and I don't want to compare people, right? Like JJ he's his own quarterback, right? They're different, players. But that's when I knew, holy cow, he definitely has the mind of a current junior, senior, you could even argue NFL, quarterback. He just, for him to make that adjustment as I'm seeing it at the same time in the booth, it just spoke to how brilliant he is. And he was obviously very successful high school career. I think what made him so successful in his high school career throughout the whole 4 years was his ability to understand the opposing defense just as well as or better than the defensive coordinator understood it. And that's something he understood. You don't have to be smarter than the 11 players on the field, or you don't have to outdo anything. You just have to understand what their defensive coordinator is doing. And you can flip that as a defensive coordinator. You don't have to be smarter than the offensive coordinator. You just have to be smarter than the quarterback on the field.
Very true.
Right? And you can't outsmart Bryce on the field. And that's kind of what, and all of that is on top of obviously his ability.
Well, again, my daddy played with, Bo Jackson. He'd say all the time, the difference with Bo was his mental ability with it, because there's a bunch of great athletes walking around right now that never amounted to anything. So especially the higher level you go, you gotta have both. That's the only way.
I would venture to say, and obviously he's interviewed with Rich Eisen, and he's not shying away from expectations or anything, right? Like he said, national championship. I don't know if he said Heisman. Obviously, he's very capable of doing that. I would venture to say he has currently, right now, as he is technically a freshman now, but he's still a high school year. His classmates are still in high school. As a high schooler, he has the work ethic of an NFL player, and he has the knowledge of the game of probably a 2 or 3 year college vet, and that is.
And I was already excited.
Hey, YouTube, appreciate you guys hopping on. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on so you know when Crain & Company goes to college or Locker Room Talk is dropping.